So what do we notice about the side length of C compared to A and B? Well, C is not whole. C is not a whole number. Okay, therefore hard to draw. But we do know that there is an operation that allows us to do it. Okay, and we square root to do that. So it's hard to draw, and we also end up with something called an irrational number. So I'm just going to add this in. It is also an irrational number. Meaning that this decimal does not end and does not repeat. Okay? An irrational means it cannot be put into a fraction. There's no whole numbers that we can put into a fraction that is the same as that decimal number. So this is a very important concept. Okay? Squaring and square rooting are not multiplication. Squaring is taking a side length and getting the number of squares in the square area. Okay, not in a rectangle. Rectangles we can do with multiplication, but squaring is different. Squaring has to be squares. And square rooting is then the opposite. Okay, if we start with the number of squares, if I square root, okay, I can get the edge length. And here, although we cannot draw the edge length of 4.472, we know that if we have 20 squares arranged in a square area, okay, this can't be done in a nice square like even numbers, whole numbers like we can here and here, but we do have squares that are of size 20 square units. We can get the edge length by square rooting. So we go from area to side length is square rooting, side length to area is squaring. And they are opposite operations. So one will undo the other. So if I start with an area of 2, square rooting will give me my side length. But if I square that side length, I'm going to get my area of 2. Okay, so inside here is my area of 2. Square rooting gives me edge length. Squaring gives me the area back. Here, this is a slightly different. This is an edge length of 2. So when I square this 2, I get 4 squares as my area. But if I square root the 4 squares as my area, I get my edge length back as 2. Now, either way you look at it though, the square and square root undo each other. They're opposite operations. So when we look at this from operation or function perspective, we know that our input here, actually I should just put it this way. So if my input is square area, I go in this direction, I square root, I get edge length. Okay, if I go in this direction and I square it, I get area. If I start with edge length, I square, I get square area. If I start with square area, square root, I get edge length. And this is the idea behind squares and square roots. It is not multiplication, it's different. And the math is going to be different from this. Multiplication is length times width, and we get rectangles. Squaring is different in that we get squares. Now, it is okay to use multiplication to get squares as well, but we cannot say that they're the same thing.